Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Etan and Devo show. We have another great guest on today. A big time Syracuse basketball supporter. Grew up probably 60 miles from Syracuse, and it seems like if you're 100 miles within Syracuse, you're a Syracuse basketball fan. So, really, New York State is Syracuse basketball. So, without further ado, we appreciate you coming on, Vinny Lobdell, man. We appreciate you coming, kicking it with me and E.
Hey guys, thanks for the it's a pleasure. And hey, Pulaski's 30 miles from
30
Syracuse.
miles.
Yeah,
There we
30,
go.
30. Close, close.
Close,
Well,
close.
Yeah,
60 is Watertown.
that's
appreciate
right. That's
it.
exactly right.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well,
So E,
I
I'm gonna let you jump it off, man. I know you wanted to
sure.
clear some stuff up first, so I'll let you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, sure. And I appreciate you coming on. So let me tell a quick background story for those that don't know. So maybe about a week ago, um, was it Syracuse.com or maybe Syracuse basketball? They posted us a picture of you sitting next to Melo and the article. And the article, the title of it was Syracuse booster Vinny Lobdell says he's rallying a group to commit millions to Jerry McNamara's program.
Mm.
And so I responded and then I retweeted it and quoted it. And I said, that's great you're doing it now, but why couldn't you do that for Red?
Mm.
And so I didn't, know any details. I'm going from the title of the article. And so you reached out and some people told you, and we wanted to, and I'm glad that people connected us. So, and I have no problems, admitting if I was wrong in my assumption.
Mm.
But the way that the article was written, it was as if, or the title of the article was written, was as if this is something new that wasn't happening before, and
Mm.
now it's something. You know what I mean? So and a lot of people had that same kind of question. So I just wanted to, have you come on and clear it up, and we're all in this together. So let me know what's up.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head. We're all in this together, right? I mean, I've been a follower of Syracuse sports for so long since Boeheim. He became a good friend of mine, and I just love the program. So I've been a supporter for quite a while. And I think at first when NIL came to the forefront, Syracuse was a little behind the eight ball. We didn't really know how to put it into play, and um, but I supported from day one. I was one of the first guys to put money into NIL back when the 315 Foundation was set up, and we didn't really have a platform or a place to push the money. And I think to be fair to everyone involved, I don't know if they were really sure what was going to happen and how it was going to unfold. So I was always really bullish on it. I think that I'm the type of guy, I'm not on social media. I have LinkedIn. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Facebook, so I don't see any of the noise, right? But I think you're right, Etan. I think that we're all in this together, man. And when Syracuse is winning, this is a great town, and I think we all need to pull the rope together, right? And that's really what I've tried to do all along. And why this is such a pivotal time now, Etan, is if we don't win now, we may not be back, right? Like, I mean, we can't continue to lose, and we can't continue to be in a position where we're looked at as kind of a second rate program. And, I was very supportive of Red in the program, very supportive. But I think it'd be great for you to ask those guys how supportive I was. I went to bat for them and put a lot of time, effort, and money. And, I think people talk about money. But forget about the money. It's about putting the time into it as well, right? Getting people to understand like what we're talking about right now. I still don't think people really understand NIL, right? And so I think that conversation has to be had with the community in a way that they really understand it, right? They see these guys out playing on the court, getting a free education and doing all this and saying, why are we giving these guys money? Why are we paying people money to play sports in college? The reality is it's changed, right? I mean, I think Duke last year had $25 million, right? Kentucky this year had 23 or 24 million. I think Syracuse had 6 or 7 last year.
Yeah.
So if we want to play at the highest level, we got to pay at the highest level. And we may not be able to get to that point, right? But I do think we're in a position where, and my last initiative, with Syracuse was how do we get the fan that wants to be involved? $100 is important, man. I mean, $50 is important, $25 is important. And when people invest their money and their time, they wanna see a return. And I think that Syracuse is going to step up and give them that return.
And I let me just say this, and I appreciate you coming on, and I have no problems standing corrected, because I didn't have all of the intricacies and the facts of everything. I was going by the title of the article, and if you were in fact helping Red and supporting Red, I think that's great. And I think that one of the things that happens was there's such a dark cloud over the last few years, and it was a difficult time period.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. You have maybe a class that went all the way through Syracuse, freshman to senior year, and then experienced Syracuse going to the tournament one time.
Yeah.
So of course, when you're asking the things that, well, what happened? What went wrong? What could have helped? What could have, what I mean? What could have been done differently? And, that was pretty much the nature of my response. So I'm glad. Thank you for supporting as long as you have, and having the passion to stick in with Syracuse through the down years.
Hey man, it's the best part about it is that when you're a true fan, that's what you do, right? Like I love the program. When you're in Syracuse and Syracuse is winning, the vibe's different. The restaurants are full. People are, they're excited. And I think that to be fair to Red, right? Like he came after one of the greatest coaches of all time, and not that had to be tough enough. And he came at a time where it was probably the most pivotal time ever in college basketball. Right? You talk to Coach K, you talk to these guys. It was a tough time. We're just figuring it out now.
Right.
So I think that we've got a new chancellor who I think's a great guy. I think he's very entrepreneurial driven. I think he understands that sports are very important to the undergraduate enrollment. I don't really know Mr. Blair well. I've spoken to him a few times, but I think he obviously understands it. So I think everything in life's timing, right? If we have the right AD and we have the right chancellor and we have a coach that is getting supported through NIL and by the administration, I think that we can win. And so, I never had any hard feelings, Etan. I mean, I never take things personally. If I did, I probably would have jumped off a bridge a few years ago. So I just learned to just stick to my own thing and focus on it, and not worry about the noise in the background. So I never took it personally, man. I truly believe deep down you want Cuse to win. And I know Devo does. I haven't met you personally. This is the first time. I know Devo does. And I think if we're all working together, and we put the negativity aside and we put the egos aside, I think Syracuse can get back to where we need to be.
That's great.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Vinny, I just want to ask you about, because you talk about your relationship with Coach Boeheim, and I know you guys went fishing and you do all that. You took him salmon fishing, and I don't know how good of a fisher coach is. Solid or what?
He's a better basketball coach.
Okay.
That's all you need to say. We don't even need to get into it. We'll just talk about, I mean, I guess how your passion for SU started. From Pulaski, was it your family? Were they, growing up, was that SU hoops going on in the house all the time? Where did the passion start?
Yeah, I mean, I love sports, right? And my mother and father, we blue collar family out of Pulaski, New York, and we love sports. I played hockey, played a lot of different sports in high school. And Syracuse, again, let's face it, it's our professional sport, right? I mean, you guys are legends for a reason, because in this community, you are our professional athletes. And so I looked up to all the guys. I think what people forget is, and I don't think maybe you guys do, but a lot of athletes forget, is that what they do on the court to a lot of these kids is like you're the role model, right? And so as I grew up and as I saw it, I saw the impact you guys had, right? And for me, I've always wanted to have a certain level of impact at that level, but for me it was in business. And so I saw, what you guys were doing, I saw what we were doing in the business from a business perspective. And then, early on I met Coach Boeheim. Noah was going to camps, but I mean before Noah even, I'd go up and I'd watch the admiration people had for the man. And it's one of those things where Coach can be a curmudgeon, man. I mean, even to this day, he can be a curmudgeon, but
Right.
that was part of who he was, and that's why people loved him. I remember I shared the story. I was at the Final Four with him 2 years ago, when Duke lost uh, in the Final Four, and we walk into a restaurant, and all the Duke fans are getting ready to leave, and they start booing Boeheim. And he looks over at me and he goes, "I still got it, Lobdell." And it just is one of those things where Coach meant so much. It still does mean so much to this community. And, he embodies what Syracuse is, and so many of you guys do. And I think that that's why I got behind it, because I knew it really exemplified what our community was.
That's great. That's great. Tell me a little bit about the group you're putting together. NIL is so important right now. You've listed all the reasons why and how, even, it's funny because Devo has been saying for the past 2 years that we need to, increase our NIL. He's been saying it over and over again. The fans have been like, "No, you're crazy. We have enough." and they be like mad at Devo. And it's like, I don't think we have enough, but now we're seeing it. So let's talk about the group that you're putting together.
Yeah, so I think first it's really important to understand that again, I think there's still a lot of misconceptions about NIL, right? And I think that the university is starting to do a much better job of outlining what it means. And I think college basketball in general is, right? They're starting to understand and echo what's NIL really means. For me, I have a great group of friends across the country, some great CEOs. And again, it's not necessarily about the big dollars, right? What we started with this GMAC challenge is we really wanted to go out and say, hey, there's so many people that want to give money. How do we start to get those guys involved? Because, and guys and girls, when we get them involved, they feel they're more passionate about it, right? They feel vested in the program. They feel vested in the community, whether it's $100 or $1,000 or 100,000 or a million, right? Once you do that, it becomes more sustainable. The problem we have right now, and I think a lot of universities have, is certain guys are writing checks. Um, and if we're not getting something in return, there's people are always looking for a return on their investment. I don't care what it is, right? In life, when we put money into something or we put our time, we're always looking at a return. And so I think Syracuse is doing a great job of that now. I think they're really investing their time and effort in this. My team's coming in. Part of the GMAC challenge was we got guys coming in. I think we're going to raise almost $500,000 for that to start, but really creating like curated experiences as well, Etan and Devo. Like we want to create an experience like SummerSlam. Devo, I don't think you were here for that last year, were you?
No, when you had it at your house.
Yeah, we had it right here in the barn. I'm in the
Mhm.
barn now. I got a court behind me, and it was this wonderful experience where people could come in. They could interact with the players. We had some old school players there. We had some slam dunk champions, Spud Webb, D Brown, who really loved the experience. Man, they were like, "Dude, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen." Of course, we had Boeheim in the house, and he was bitching because there wasn't air conditioning in the barn. I was like, "Come on, coach," you know. But it was great, and so part of the goal here is to bring people in that can write big checks, right? Give them wonderful experiences, and then have the return on investment come from winning on the court, having amazing experiences, maybe traveling with the team, coming to places like the SummerSlam, and not just for people that can write big checks, right? Also creating other experiences where everyone can be involved, whether it's $50, $100, or someone's time. We need it all in this community for this program to be relevant and for this program to be sustainable long term. We need everyone involved. It can't just be 10 guys writing big checks because it won't work that way.
Donor fatigue, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you can't just have the same people over and over writing the same checks. Those guys hopefully will latch on and get somebody else, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I'm so excited about what's happening in the Central New York community. I mean, Mike Brown and all the spinoffs coming from that. I think you're going to see a lot of companies dive in, and that's why for me, I've always been behind the computer, not behind the computer. Under the radar. I've never been in front with Instagram or posting stuff. I thought it was very important now that we get this message out because I truly believe if we don't become relevant and raise the money to support the program now, and I was doing it before, I just wasn't as vocal about it. Um, we're going to have a hard time coming back, right? And having a hard time retaining players. I mean, you see what it's like every year. These coaches are having to re-recruit the same guys because other colleges are coming in and paying them more money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the challenge of it, right? And so I think that's really where coaching comes in, Etan. I think where coaching comes in is what you saw GMAC do with Sienna playing Duke, right? He didn't have a bunch of big time players. He had a bunch of players that basically every Syracuse, Duke, and UNC passed up, right? And
Mhm.
he put them on the floor, and they're coachable. They're coachable. They want to win. They want to go to the next level. That's what it used to be like before NIL for guys like you, right? You want to go to the next level. You showed up every day. You had a chip on your shoulder. You wanted to win. You worked hard because if you didn't, guess what? You weren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
Now with a lot of these guys, they don't like it. They're out. They're making $1 million somewhere else, right? They're going to Kentucky or they're going to. So I haven't seen McNamara's full lineup, but I do like what he's doing. I think he's coming together with players that'll show up every day, work really really hard, and play as a team. And if we can do that, I think we can compete with anybody. I think we will raise enough money. I think if we all are working together cohesively, I think we can make it sustainable long term, and I think we'll get the players that can help us win.
Talk to me a little bit about the experience because that's something that Adam Weissman was really big on, at the games and creating an experience. But the out of the games experience, like what you said you did in your backyard, that's interesting because that really involves a lot of the community in a way where they feel a part of it. What are some other experiences like that you're planning to put together for the Syracuse community?
I'm working, I'm taking the full direction of the new athletic director. What he's basically the guy that's leading the charge. I said I'll be helpful in any possible way I can. I want to, not just utilize my resources, but the things I've been blessed with, some of the things my friends have been blessed with. How do we utilize our homes or different things that we have to bring a community together, right? I mean, and it can't just be for the guy that can write a big check. I mean, let's face it, that is not who Syracuse is, right? Syracuse is a blue collar town that was built on blue collar values, and we need to embrace people like that and get them involved. That's, I go to SU games, I see all the people. I had ushers calling me saying, I want to donate to the GMAC challenge.
Oh,
That's what these guys, that's what these people want to do. They want to get behind it. And so I'm really, really focused. And if I can add value to the program, I don't know. Again, I'm just a normal guy, right? And I'm just trying to do whatever, play my part.
mhm.
But I really think that Syracuse is focused on creating a great experience in game and post game. Um, to really bring people in at a different level. And we've been missing it there. And let's face, why have we been missing it there? For so long, we had a guy named Jim Boeheim, guys like you guys on the court, where we were winning all the time. It didn't matter if we had a halftime show, right?
Right.
It was the only game in town. We were kicking ass, and we had
Yeah,
25,000 people in the dome.
right.
We need to recreate ourselves. I mean, we need to do different things. You know why? Because all the other colleges are. And players aren't staying the way they used to stay because if they're not happy, they leave or they get more money. So I think basketball, I think college athletics in general have been, they've changed dramatically. And we have to change with them. And if we don't, that's my concern. And that's why I'm so focused on making sure I can play my part for whatever role that is to help the program get to where it needs to be.
Yeah, the pivot is important, and me and E were talking about it a while back, even before Red was coached, that they were behind the eight ball because that with the NIL, and it wasn't even anything going into Red's first year. So I mean, you even said it, Vinny, they were behind the eight ball. So now to try to play catch up, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I think that I wasn't very intimately involved with what was happening. I just was asked to donate money, and I was blessed enough to be in a position to do so. And I think that a lot of people were concerned with NCAA violations and all that kind of stuff, and so I never put myself in anybody's shoes or judge anyone based on experiences I don't have myself. But
Mhm.
what I know compared to other organizations, they were taking a leap of faith and just diving all in. And it happened to be where it changed very, very quickly, right? Quicker than anybody thought, right? Players can make as much money as they want. And now it's like, how do you bring these guys in? That Cooper Flag made, I mean, $10 million last year for Duke. $10 million. That's more than their whole NIL budget. It's
Yeah,
almost double our NIL budget, right? So how do we compete? Now we can't probably compete with that. That's where coaching and recruiting and all the other things come into play, right? And making sure our in-game experience is great. Because these players too, and the facilities are great, right? Making sure our facilities are great because these players come in, right? They're being from the day they get on campus, they're seeing great locker rooms, they're going on campus and seeing all these amazing facilities. And then from there, they're going and having a great in-game experience. It's just a tough, very tall and tough order to fill. But I do think, again, I really do think with the new leadership, I can't say enough about Chancellor Haney. I really think you will see some major, major changes all around that help us reach that level we need to be at.
That's great. That's great. And the overall excitement around GMAC has been amazing. I was looking at the press conference and I was looking at the amount of people. I was like, wow, this is big. And it's great to feel that energy in Syracuse. I mean, because you know how it was for the last few years. You go to, even if you're just watching from home, you're seeing them pan the crowd and it just looks so dismal and it's
Yeah,
murky and it's, you know what I mean? But now you feel a different level of energy, even on social media about you.
yeah.
I think that's something that's really we've been missing for a long time.
Etan, I think we probably could have done well with any coach. I think what really accelerated the fundraising and will continue to accelerate the fundraising is people can relate to Jerry, right? Obviously, you guys as players can, right? He did what you guys did. He went through the grind that you guys went through. He won a national championship. He's got a heart, big heart. He's the underdog, right? I mean, he really is, and he also comes from that blue collar background. He came from Scranton, PA. No one really believed in the guy, right? And I think that embodies a lot of what Syracuse is about, right? No one's really ever believed in Syracuse from an economical standpoint. I mean, we did for a while and then we went kind of black and we're back, from an economical standpoint and hopefully from a basketball standpoint. I think we're bullish. I think people can really really resonate with Jerry, and I'm hoping that the fans really get out there and support him because, and in bad times too, because let's face it, it's not going to be an easy road right as he starts out. We're going to lose some games. It's going to be tough, but we got to stay together as a community and realize that we got to win and lose together, and if we get through it, we're gonna get through it and be much better after it.
And you know what? I was gonna ask you about GMAC a little bit more. Like, how important was again? We talked about this hiring somebody. I, I guess we say within the family, but somebody who everybody I guess is comfortable with. Because if you bring in a guy from the outside, and I was talking about it with a lot of people, people are they're kind of standoffish a little bit until you start getting some wins. So how important was it that Jerry got hired? Just for overall, but also with the group that you're getting together right now and supporting.
Well, I think anytime someone's going to open up their pocketbook in a big way, it normally takes one word. It's called trust.
Yeah.
And one lift, I mean, it's just the way it works in a relationship or anything. It's right. Like when you give your money or your heart or anything to anybody, it comes down to trusting that person. And I think the one thing that Jerry did was kind of shortcut that process. Why? He's been here, right?
Yeah.
People relate to him. Not that the other coaches couldn't have done it. They may have, but I agree with you. They would have had to come in and have a good season, a really good season. And um, I think fundraising, it might have been okay to start, but it definitely wouldn't have been what it is and what it's going to be over the next few months.
Hmm.
And again, that comes back to familiarity, right? I mean, we know who Jerry is. We know that although he hasn't coached a major school like Syracuse or UNC or Duke, he went to Siena. And I got to be honest with you, I think his real test was Duke, and he went in and played with them, right? And people saw, wow, maybe this guy is the real deal. And so we saw that. We saw him win a national championship, and we saw his work ethic. And I think when you see that and you can relate to it, it makes fundraising a lot easier.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, I know, speaking for Devo, both of us, we'd be definitely excited to collaborate with you on some of these events and these fan experiences. And we were a part of something that was really special a while ago. Remember when we went to I keep calling it Carousel Mall, dating myself. It's not even called Carousel Mall anymore.
Definitely
We
is.
brought a lot of different former players there. We had this big autograph signing, and the amount of people, Syracuse people that showed up and just showed support. And there's a lot of different creative ways that we could do fundraising and different like that experiences. So I'm glad that you're leading this cause and stepping in the forefront of it and really pushing for it, because you're right. We want Syracuse to be in the conversation with Duke and Kentucky, and we're not losing players for NIL reasons. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we just lost Donnie, and Devo has been talking about it for a while. I don't know if we would even be able to afford to pay him what other schools were going to pay him.
yeah,
Then we'd have to think about, the rest of the team if we pay one
yeah.
person. And that's just not a problem that I think that a university with the history of Syracuse that we should have at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that, yeah, Etan, I think that that's great. I always use the analogy or the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And right now, this community really needs to come together around all Syracuse sports and really put the differences aside and just work together to win, right? And I think you'll see that now. I really do. I think the administration's there. I think we got football coaches, basketball coaches that can work together, and I'm really excited about it. And I mean, anything I can be involved with. Again, I take the leadership of the university now because I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I want to just do what they'd like me to do and add value where I can add value. And if I can't, that's fine. But my goal has always been to bring the community together. How do we do that? And anything I've done philanthropically or my family's done philanthropically, it's always been how do we bring people together, not tear them apart. And that's my goal here. My goal here is when Syracuse is winning, the community will come together. We got to come together now before that so that we give them the opportunity to win.
that's great. That's great. That's
Awesome.
great. Well, listen, let me tell you, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, especially under the circumstances. I appreciate you reaching out, and I think it's great what you're doing. So, hey, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely.
All right, brother.
All right,
All
Devo,
right.
you take us out.
Absolutely, Vinny. We appreciate you, man. Appreciate all the support. Looking forward to the season. I'm excited, and we appreciate you hopping on, kicking it with us for a little bit.
Oh,
That's
my
another
pleasure, guys.
episode of the Etan and Devo show. We'll check you guys out later. Appreciate it.